This GiveIt Forms video is for Donorfy. Please be aware this demo may include features outside of your band. GiveIt Forms allows you to process other kinds of transaction beyond donation. This is achieved with the Item for Sale field down in the transaction group of the left navigation. If you pull an Item for Sale field into your form, the options panel flies out and we've got quite a fair bit of configuration to do in here, so let's walk through that line by line. Your visible label and your visible sub-label are going to render on the final form for your end users to see. So you want to give the titles there something meaningful. Given that we're going to be selling tickets to an event, oops, I feel like tickets for sale is a good enough header. I'll skip the sub-label for the moment. Now, you have the option to make this a required field. Required meaning that a quantity of greater than 0 is going to need to be allocated to this item being purchased. That's fine if you're selling a single type of ticket. I wouldn't advise you do this if you're having multiple items for sale in a single form, unless, of course, one of them absolutely has to be mandatory purchase and the rest are optional, but typically it stands to reason that all of the items for sale are going to be optional. So for this first ticket option that I'm going to sell for my event, it's going to be the adult ticket. Whoops. And that's the name of that particular item. This is going to get routed through to Donorfy as a reference point for what was itemized in the checkout of the form. So make sure this is something, it doesn't have to be something to correlate with a mapping in Donorfy. It just has to be something that you don't mind surfacing in Donorfy, something that you can keep your eye on for your reporting purposes. The ticket price obviously is clear cut. That's going to be 25 quid. It's somewhat similar to the required field. There is a minimum quantity. The difference is, of course, it's conditional. So if you have to buy 2, then it's you have to buy 2. That's not quite the same as you have to buy at least 1, which is what this required would do for us. So I'm going to put that down to 0. There is no minimum here. But let's imagine I don't want any one user to be able to buy more than 5 tickets of this adult type in their basket. We'll call it a basket. There isn't technically a basket system in play here. GiveIt Forms presently doesn't support what is a conventional commerce model. It's more like a tangent of transaction, a variation on the transaction protocol than the donation arm of the same mechanic. There is a stock level for your item for sale. At 0, this isn't counted at all. But let's imagine I had only 50 tickets to sell. By making that choice, we commit that to the database now, and it's going to keep an eye on how many times tickets are purchased, or rather how many tickets are purchased through your form, and deduct from this total on the right. So on the left, oh sorry, I beg your pardon, it's going to deduct from the left. The left is how many tickets are still remaining available of the total that we're given here. And the reason this total remains as an input field is because if you found yourself having 10 more tickets available all of a sudden, you can inflate that and the tally goes up. The tally will continue to go down with every purchase made through the form though. Now the next fields here, payment method, department, product, channel, bank account, campaign and fund. These are all transaction centric fields that map to the corresponding areas in Donorfy. So what you populate into these fields need to be verbatim matches for what you've already configured in Donorfy under these categories. I'm going to pause this video and fill these up. I'll bring you back when that's done. Okay, so there's some generic configurations there. Each one of these have been mapped across to their corresponding allocations in Donorfy. If you aren't sure, just copy and paste exactly what you see there to make them verbatim matches. So that's done for our adult ticket. I'm going to raise that up a bit. Yeah, let's get that ahead of that totalizer that was in there from before. I'm going to add another item for sale. I'm giving this the same label. In hindsight, should have named both this and the previous item for sale label. I should have named the label more in keeping with the ticket itself, and you'll see why when we come to publish this in a moment. But for the time being, let's have that there. And this time I'm setting up my child ticket. Now, can I be bothered to fill out all of these fields all over again? Not especially. Luckily, we have a clone mappings button in here. When I click this now, what it's going to do is identify any other item for sale already in the form. And this would be why I needed to have named that uniquely. Pick it up by label, so tickets for sale. We know that that is the adult one, the only other one we have. So I'm going to check that. And what that's done is copied over all the mappings for all the fields as we'd established them. I'm going to reduce the price for the children. What it hasn't carried over is the stock level, because not necessarily the same stock level. So let's say we've got fewer child tickets. We've got 40. But the rest of the mappings are the same, because I don't see, other than the product type itself, I don't see that we need to distinguish anything different about the payment being made in the mappings over to Donorfy. So we'll say done with that as well. Yeah, I'm going to take the opportunity. Buy your kid a ticket. And where did I put the other one? I already lifted it up. Let's put in here, buy yourself a ticket. And this assumes that a responsible adult is indeed engaging with the form. That looks good. Let's save that. And let's preview what that looks like out on the user's side. The form now renders with both ticket variant options for purchase. So buy yourself a ticket, buy your kid a ticket. That's the both ticket types. The two prices are there. The mappings behind them are there as well. Coincidentally, they are the same mappings. They needn't be. Updating the quantity of these fields has two effects primarily. The first being that the total of the purchase is tallied and primed into the total for the payment. But also you'll notice that our monthly button, which we typically see our monthly toggle button for the donation block frequency, has disappeared. Normally we're able to toggle between monthly and one-off frequencies. But in the event that our pseudo basket contains items for sale, it doesn't make sense that it's not going to be viable that we can engage a payment gateway that's both simultaneously geared for a single source checkout and a recurring source of payment collection, in that you wouldn't be making a monthly purchase of tickets and so on. So conflating the two into the same single checkout flow isn't viable. So when it comes to adding a donation, it's only a single time to match my single checkout of ticket purchases that is qualified to the total field. The inverse works. If it so happens that I've opted to make a monthly donation of £25, let's say, and the total field is primed for that, and only then do I decide to add some tickets to my checkout. Again, the monthly option disappears, but at least this time we're given a warning, a bit of an explanation about what's occurred. So because you have items in this purchase, your donation was switched to a one-off gift. Please select the amount you'd like to give. So we still have that nudge. We're still going to get some giving activity from this customer owing to the prompt to do that. So what happens now when the remainder of the fields are filled out and the payment form fields are engaged and the form is submitted? A form that carries both a donation and items for sale is going to produce two transactions on the Donorfy timeline for this constituent. A donation transaction with all the mappings as configured, and a concatenation of an itemization of a pseudo basket. So there'd be a transaction for the items for sale. That will be the total amount here of these two items in the basket of the quantities will be reflected as well, and then the fact that this was called adult ticket, the fact that this was called child ticket, those two strings, they turn up in the notes field of the transaction in question.